Okay, so as many people may know, and just in case you don't, the Consumer Electronics Show is going on this week, and there were some pretty big announcements from AMD, Intel, and Nvidia. Actually, but it was AMD, then Nvidia, then Intel at 1 o'clock or whatever. But so after watching all those, going back and looking at all those, and kind of seeing a little bit of feedback that some people had, tech reviewers and other people in the space, I'm left with a couple of questions and a couple of thoughts. And I thought I might share those and maybe even get a little bit of feedback from you guys, seeing what you thought. First was AMD. AMD came out and the first thing they did, one of the first things they did was they talked about their laptops and the new processor for the laptops, the 6000 series, pretty exciting. It's going to be built on a 6 nanometer, which is just a little bit smaller than what they currently have. They're going with the 6000 series, and then when they launch the upgrade to Zen 4 later, it'll be the 7000 series, but 6000 series, and this isn't something that's unheard of. They did that with the laptops with the 4000 series as well. They didn't really release a 4000 series desktop CPU. They did it with laptop. Now, there were some that did come later, but that's regardless of the fact. Those are all OEM. So they're announcing their new 6000 series CPUs, which is awesome, and then also a set of updated graphics processors, they're GPUs that will go along in the laptops with those CPUs. So now you have a brand new CPU, brand new architecture for the GPU on board, and in two different flavors. They're going to have one that's more or less a high power type, and then one is a thinner or shallow or S version that will be for ultra thins and ultrabooks and stuff like that. So your very thin laptops will have a slightly different graphics processor. Your high power will have a little bit more powerful one. But the basic thing they want to do is that AMD advantage. They want to develop that ecosystem so that these processors and these GPUs can work together and form the best gaming laptop on the market. So hold that thought. AMD has also announced the new 5800X 3D. This is going to be, I don't know why they didn't do this with the 5900X or the 5950X yet, but for the time being, the 5800X 3D will be an update with another layer of that 3D cache that they're going to put on top of the 5800X. This, in turn, will give them the fastest gaming CPU on the market. So hold that thought. The other thing they announced, or one other thing, there's several things they did the presentation on, but the other key thing they were talking about was the RX 6500 XT. Now, this looks to be a decent thing. It is a slightly lower tier video card than the 6600 XT, which surprised me, performed very, very well. This is going to be a little bit lower. It's going to be hopefully more of that mid-range type area, so people that are looking for a little bit smaller, I don't want to say smaller, more budget-minded GPUs to upgrade their systems with, and it should still get plenty of power, plenty of performance. Hopefully, maybe this will take the place of some of those aging RX 480s and 580s that are out there in the wild. But anyway, this is going to come in at $199. So a couple things to take away from AMD: new processors and new graphics for their laptops. So they're concentrating on the laptops. New fastest CPU and new budget GPU. Okay, so hold those. So then NVIDIA came out, and one of the first things they started talking about was their new budget or low-end graphics card, the RTX 3050. Now, this is going to be a replacement for the aging GTX 1650, 1660, the TIs, and the Supers of that grade or that generation. There was no 2050 because the RTX or the ray tracing wasn't developed enough to make that effective in a 20 series, so they left it as the GTX instead of RTX on the 1650 and 1660. And then the 2060 was the lowest with the ray tracing and DLSS. Now, so they are now going with the 30 series. They're going to bring it down, and this RTX 3050 will have ray tracing and it will have DLSS. In addition to that, they're upgrading all their software suites and everything for GeForce Now and a bunch of software things. But the main thing, the one thing they want to push across to us in the beginning was this new RTX 3050. Price on the gem of this little piece of silicone that we're not going to be able to get a hold of. Retail price starts for this one at $249. Yes, $50 more than AMD's budget offering. So we'll see how that works. Now, we do know that that's just the suggested price. These are going to be snatched up, and you're not going to be able to get the AMD for $199. You're not going to be able to get the other one, the 3050, for $250 anyway. Those are probably both going to be 1.5 or 2 times the price. But keep in mind that the AMD cards are starting to be a little bit more available closer to retail than the NVIDIA cards. So NVIDIA might, they won't have any problem selling this card, but this is ideally to the budget-minded gamer. So we'll see how that goes. They did also announce some other infrastructure and architecture for laptops. So they've announced the 3070 Ti and the 3080 Ti, which will be slimmed down and made available in their laptops, or not their laptops, but laptops will be able to have dedicated NVIDIA graphics featuring the 3070 and the 3080. Well, that's great news. But keep in mind, AMD is already really trying to refine that infrastructure with AMD products, CPU, GPU. Okay. And then NVIDIA insulted us all by saying, oh, and by the way, we have the 3090 Ti. Well, they call it a Ti. The 3090 is going to be the top of the stack. Their end-all, be-all product. Obviously, this isn't for gamers. Obviously, we don't have any idea what the price is going to be, but we also obviously know it's going to be outrageous, and none of us will be able to get it anyway. But keeping that in mind, they are trying. I don't know if they're even trying. I don't know what they're trying to do. So, all right, NVIDIA, the graphics for the laptops, the budget card that is $50 overpriced of their competitor's card, and just completely top-ending the stack of their GPUs. Then they spent the rest of the time talking about AI for driver vehicles and stuff like that. So it would whatever. And then Intel came out a little bit later. And one of the first things that Intel talked about was their new KS SKUs on their already existing 12th gen CPUs. That would make them the best gaming CPU, or keep the best gaming CPU crown. So you got AMD saying the 5800X 3D is the best CPU for gaming, and then now you have Intel once again saying, hey, no, we're keeping it because we have the 12900 KS, and it's going to be the best one. So we'll have to get them and find out. But for the time being, you have two. Again, they've tried to top each other, Intel and AMD, on whichever one has the best gaming CPU. They went ahead and announced they're coming out with Arc GPUs, their line of graphics cards that are going to concentrate on notebooks first. So they are, again, making an ecosystem where you've got high-level CPUs, and now you've got high-level GPUs that are both Intel and both integrated into their ecosystem. And if that starts to sound familiar, that's because that's what AMD is trying to create also, is an ecosystem upgrading their graphics and CPUs so that they work together. So now you have AMD and Intel both creating ecosystems that are the best in gaming for laptops. Notice something missing here, but we'll come back to that in a second. Then Intel spent the rest of their time talking about autonomous vehicles. But going back to the thing that, am I missing anything here? AMD and Intel are both creating ecosystems for laptops to have the best gaming laptop or the best productivity laptop or whichever. But the fact of the matter remains, they're building high quality products within their own ecosystem. So manufacturers are going to be saying, okay, I can do an all AMD or I can do an all Intel. Or they can do an AMD or Intel with NVIDIA GPUs. But it's not going to have the same performance and ecosystem as the other two. Add to that the fact that NVIDIA is releasing their budget GPU for $50 more, and you're not going to be able to find it for that anyway, and a high-tier GPU that's going to be out of everybody's reach. Not only that, but it cuts out completely anything else that's made on that same die, RTX 3080. So nobody's still going to be able to get that GPU. And you have to think, or you have to wonder, if NVIDIA is being squeezed out of something somehow. Because what happens if AMD and Intel, both ecosystems in their laptops, perform much, much better than anything with an NVIDIA GPU in it? Is anybody even going to want it? Or is it just going to be the diehard NVIDIA fans that say, oh, I've got an NVIDIA laptop, when they can have something that a much better performance, gaming and otherwise, from AMD or Intel? So you have to kind of wonder where NVIDIA's focus was during this. Obviously, they're going for high-end, high-profit stuff, where the top-of-the-line video card, you know it's going to sell. Nobody's ever going to be able to get it, but somebody's going to buy it along there somewhere. Their shareholders and everybody are going to be happy. They're going to be profitable. They're going to sell a lot of cards. But I don't if were they really trying to take the laptop space seriously, or was it an afterthought, or what? I don't know. AMD and Intel both think that that's the way to go. Nobody can buy or parts or anything for regular desktops, and more people are going to laptops, especially with stay-at-home work and school and everything else. So they've concentrated very heavily on that and thrown all their marbles into the same circle. Is there enough room left for NVIDIA in that same playing area? I don't know. So I'd be curious to see what your thoughts are. My thoughts are you're going to have two companies that really concentrate and hit hard on that sector of portability. And it might not necessarily be, like phones and tablets and all, but I'm thinking the laptops and those small ultrabooks and stuff like that, you're going to have AMD and Intel really, really hit hard and may end up pushing NVIDIA out of the mobile business in some way, unless they can somehow procure ARM and then go about their own way. But then if you've got a CPU structure from Intel and AMD that are the same, and ARM, which is more or less mobility, how long till those split and we have a complete division? I don't know. Anyway, those are just my thoughts. I after kind of looking at everything and watching everything back through, it's a question I had. So I was just kind of curious if you guys had the same questions. Anyway, let me know what you think. If you found the video helpful or maybe thought-provoking or liked it in any way, just go ahead and throw a thumbs up. If not, you can thumbs down, but let me know why. Don't forget to visit me on the other socials. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. And until next time, I'll have actual content to share with you. So I hope, anyway. But until next time, that's all I got. So I'll see you later.